All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So I had already edited this video, but I've got to make a breaking news announcement in the beginning of this video because it was just announced seconds ago that Hadi Choopan has officially landed in the United States. So it looks like he will be able to compete at the Olympia. He just checked in with his coach, Hany Rambod, and this was confirmed by multiple news outlets. I saw it on the Sulios Instagram page. He has officially landed in Orlando, so it looks like Hadi did, in fact, finally get his visa and will be competing at the 2020 Mr. Olympia. So that is a fantastic sign. I cannot wait to see Hadi on stage. Third place last year, People's Champ last year, one of the best conditioned guys on the Olympia last year. So thumbs up, guys, for Hadi Choopan. We're finally going to get to see him compete. It's remained a huge mystery whether or not he was going to be able to, but I'm happy to report that Hadi Choopan will be competing on the biggest stage of them all, the 2020 Mr. Olympia, and hopefully he is back in that top 3 this year. All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story, let's talk about Hunter Labrada. Everybody is landing in Orlando, preparing for the Olympia. All the athletes are arriving and posting physique updates, and Hunter Labrada is no exception to that. And of the recent physique updates that I've seen, as far as everybody that's in Orlando, Hunter has posted one of the most impressive, in my opinion, out of a lot of the guys so far. So he posted a series of physique updates here. There's 3 of them: a back double bicep, a front double bicep, which in my opinion is one of his strongest poses, and then a side tricep, another very strong pose for Hunter. So at just days away from the big show, I'd say it looks like Hunter is on track to bring a very tight physique to this year's Mr. Olympia. I've said it before, but Hunter has a really good structure to his physique. I mean, he's got a really good amount of size to him, but with that size, he's got a great V-taper. He's got great posing. He's got really good flow to his physique. He's got really good lines. And like I said, he brings that all together with the posing. He's got Lee Labrada for a dad. The posing routine is good. The control over the midsection and the transitions, everything is really good with Hunter, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see where he lands in this lineup. His first Olympia ever. He qualified off that Tampa Pro win, which was his pro debut. He won his pro debut. Now he's going straight to the Olympia. And it's going to be interesting to see where he places because I honestly feel like he has a shot at a good placing in the top 10. Even though Hunter is a younger rookie bodybuilder at the Olympia, he's got the size and he's proven that to hang with these more seasoned Olympia veterans. And now with some of these names that are out of the lineup, Rolly Winkler is out, Cedric is out, Rafael Brandao is out, Flex Lewis is out, James Hollingshead is out, Nathan Diasha is out. I mean, that's 6 guys right there that were going to compete, they were supposed to compete, and now they're not. And that improves Hunter's odds by like 30% of placing in the top 10, placing in the top 6 even. But let me know in the comment section below where you guys think Hunter Labrada will place in his first Olympia ever. Will he be top 6? Will he be top 10? Could he be top 3? Could he shock the world and win the show? I mean, anything is possible. Now, speaking of bodybuilders that are potentially out of the 2020 Mr. Olympia, Hadi Choopan. So this update was posted on Hadi Choopan's manager's page, Parsifar Mahdi, and it was his picture in a grocery store, and a lot of people were speculating that Hadi had now arrived in the United States because it looked like a United States grocery store. So people were saying he's landed, he's in Orlando, he's getting food, and he's bringing it back to his hotel room, whatever. People took this as Hadi is in the States. I don't know if it was because of the prices or the word cheesy. I'm not sure. But there was a Middle Eastern and Arabic Instagram page that recognized this store to be an Arabic store because there was some Arabic writing, an Arabic word posted on the wall there. So apparently Hadi is not in the U.S., and this picture is either an old photo or a current photo, which would not be a good sign because that means he has not made it or left the UAE and has not made it to the USA. So there are only 3 days remaining, not only for Hadi to officially get the visa if he hasn't already, but he also has to get here to the States. So we could potentially have another top 6 bodybuilder, top 3 bodybuilder, Hadi Choopan. We could have him not be in the show, and that could open up a whole nother placing. And we could really have anything happen at this year's Mr. Olympia. And Hadi might not be the last bodybuilder that gets knocked off that list. But like I said, with 3 days left, it seems to be getting more and more unlikely that we're going to see Hadi compete at the Olympia because he's not even here yet. And again, he hasn't officially announced that he got the visa, but a lot of people are reporting that he has. But again, even if he has, he's still not here. And in addition to all the bodybuilders that I mentioned, a new bodybuilder was announced that will not be able to make it to the Olympia. A classic physique competitor, a German classic physique competitor by the name of Mike Sommerfield. Recently, I'm not sure if it was a COVID test or what the reason was, but he was not allowed to travel to Orlando from Frankfurt. A lot of people were anticipating his Olympia debut as well, but again, for whatever reason, he was not able to travel. I don't know if it was a visa issue or a COVID issue, but it looks like he will not be there either. So now that's like 9 guys, 9 names that are officially out. And Hadi Choopan might wind up being number 10. Now, speaking of top Olympia competitors, William Bonac has just arrived in Orlando, Florida, tagging that as his location in this video. But he says this video is 2.5 weeks old for those of us that care. So this is kind of a 2.5 weeks update of Bonac, and you can see a lot of detail in his physique, even though the video is pretty blurry. The lighting isn't the best. During this row movement, you can really see a lot of definition and detail highlighted in this video. So it looks like Bonac is in good shape. Again, he's one of the guys that, he was runner-up last year. It doesn't really get much better than that besides winning the show, but we haven't really seen anything of him. We haven't seen too many physique updates. He hasn't really said much, so we haven't really any idea how he's looking right now. And this is something that I'm curious about, is like once these bodybuilders get into Orlando, are they in some kind of a bubble like the NBA was doing? Do they have like very limited family and friends or team around them to keep themselves in like a bubble where they don't leave their hotel room and don't have any risk of catching anything prior to the show? Because once all these guys are in Orlando, I'm sure there's some kind of precaution in place, to where they don't get the virus once they're in Florida. I'm sure the Olympia is going to have some kind of testing right before these guys go on stage or right before these guys compete. I'm sure they're going to have something like that before everybody competes, just to make sure everybody's safe and just to cover their bases. But this is something I've been thinking about a lot, is once all these guys get here, that's great. They made it to the States. They made it to Orlando. They're ready to compete. But what if a bunch of guys test positive once they get here is the big thing that I'm wondering. Will they be allowed to compete anyway? How is that going to go? Because I think that's a very realistic situation that we could run into come Friday. I mean, just think about it. I think it's entirely possible that we're not really going to know who's competing until prejudging actually starts and we see these guys on stage. Now, next up in the news, 212 bodybuilding. One of the guys that I'm really excited to see compete is Angel Calderon. He's won pretty much every show he's competed in 212. During the lead up for this year's Mr. Olympia, I believe he won 3 shows back to back leading up to the 2020 Mr. Olympia. He's kind of a newer 212 guy. Not a lot of people have been talking about him, but he posted this physique update at 4 days out. And this guy has really impressed me, and I'm really excited to see where he lands in the 212 Olympia lineup, because look at the guy. He's rock hard. He's just got mountains of muscle. He's super thick. He's super dense. This guy, to me, is extremely impressive, and I think he's got a real shot at being a top 3 guy at the Olympia this year. And I said this in a previous video about him, but he's one of the few guys that post a picture on social media, post an Instagram picture, and he looks like he's really grainy, and he looks crazy in the picture on Instagram, whatever filters, but he looks the same on stage. He looks crazy on Instagram, but he looks just as crazy on stage when it comes to conditioning. So he's really impressed me, and I'm really excited to see where he lands in this lineup. Now, speaking of 212, George the Bull Peterson posted an update on his story. He's also in Orlando, and he posted a picture of the death face, just giving bodybuilding fans another reminder of what kind of crazy conditioning George brings to a bodybuilding stage or a classic physique stage. George Peterson, another relative newcomer to the 212 Olympia. This is his first 212 Olympia. He qualified after winning his 212 debut in Tampa with a very impressive showing. George is another guy that I feel like has a strong chance of being, finishing at the top of this division. And we know in the past that the Death Face has offered us a very good clue as to how these guys are going to look on stage. Now, speaking of conditioning, David Hoffman has also arrived in Orlando, a classic physique Olympia competitor, showing off the insane conditioning that he brings to the classic physique stage. I've said this before, I don't think he's got the prettiest structure. I think he could use some improvement specifically on his arms, but he does bring an insane level of that grainy detail from a conditioning standpoint to the classic physique Olympia. The question simply is, how far will that conditioning carry him at this year's classic Olympia? But based on this video, even though it is under the goon light, he looks extremely impressive. And speaking of conditioning, again, men's open bodybuilding Olympia competitor Justin Rodriguez posted a physique update of his own at the Cement Factory. Just days out from the Olympia, looking hard as nails, and he has down there in the hashtags, "Don't count me out." And I want to remind you guys not to count him out because he does look extremely impressive in this physique update, and he does bring really good conditioning. And I also think he's got a really good structure to his physique. He's got a small waist. I think he's got a great front double bicep. And again, with all these names dropping out of the lineup, anything could happen, and these placings could be all over the place. And the final story that I have for you guys today, the latest update from Big Ramy and Dennis James, both who have arrived in Orlando, are now training down there, presumably with Ramy's other coach, his other guru, Chad Nichols, because this video is posted by Chad's son, who goes by Mayhem, Raising Mayhem on Instagram. So his son was actually training with Ramy. So it's good to know that at least Ramy and Dennis have made it to Orlando. They're there for the Olympia, so it's looking pretty solid that Ramy is 100% going to compete. Of course, he got the special invite. But now, Ramy has not only made it to the States, but he's made it to Orlando. He's there, he's training, he's healthy. So at least it looks like we're going to get to see Ramy compete for sure this weekend. I think the odds of him testing positive again would be extremely low. But Ramy has made it. He's linked up with his guru, Chad Nichols. He's now training with his son, Chad's son, that is. And I'm extremely eager to see what Big Ramy is able to put together over the next couple of days. And hopefully we get a physique update or something prior to the Olympia to stir up that conversation a little bit more, because Ramy, he's been kind of quiet since that posing video that he posted around 5 weeks out from the Olympia. Ever since then, we haven't really seen much of Ramy's physique, so I'm curious to see how he's looking now that we are 3 days away from prejudging. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already for more bodybuilding and Olympia news and updates. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, Nick Strength and Power signing out.